What's up, nerds, and welcome back. Do you like Spider-Man? Do you like punk rock music? Well, if so, then I have some disappointing news for you because today we're talking about Spider-Punk number one. Now, if you heard me correctly, yes, we're talking about Spider-Punk. And I want to preface this by saying the character himself, Hobie Brown, I actually think is pretty cool. Not just because if you've been watching my channel long enough, you know what type of music that I'm into and what type of aesthetic I usually like to enjoy when I'm not wearing just regular nerd stuff. You know what type of aesthetic I usually go for. So obviously Spider-Punk is a character who appealed to me right off the bat, and I've always, loved it. That's why I have stuff. I literally brought props, so I have like this that I got because I do like the character. You know what I mean? Like this is something that's usually on my table, my dining room table. And then I also have like the Marvel Legends like Spider-Punk one as well. Fucked up guitar and everything. So I've liked the character, the design, everything about him. Like I thought it was really cool for a while. So when I found out, oh hey, he's gonna get his own series, I was like, great, can't wait to see it. And then I found out who was writing it. The same guy who's currently writing, or I don't know if he's writing all of them, but I know he wrote that "What If Miles Morales Was Captain America" issue, and yikes. And yeah, then I also saw some of the art for this issue before it actually came out, and again, I was just like, yikes. So I think that's already killed the fascination for me. But I decided to read the first issue anyway, just because, every so often I am proven wrong. And unfortunately, this was not one of those times. So let's just kind of sit back and get ready to take our headaches as we just get through this. So, for one thing, I'm tired of them doing this where they actually have a pretty decent cover for the character. And yeah, that's about it. That's about as far as the fascination goes. Let's get straight into this. I'm a street walking Cheeto with a heart full of napalm. I've fought interdimensional spider poachers with my spider fam, and there were a lot. Watched the Hulk beat the shit out of a capitalist from the future. So already we're one caption box in, and already I'm annoyed. Because the fact that we had to frame that last part, watch the Hulk beat the shit out of a capitalist from the future. I mean, I'm a capitalist myself, so you can understand why that would kind of probably bother me. But let's ignore it and keep going. I'm also the guy who smashed President Osborne with a guitar so hard his head flew into the East River. Now let's all just take a minute to appreciate this art. All right, that's long enough. So yes, this is supposed to be Craven the Hunter. I do not blame you for not assuming that right off the bat, but yes, that is Craven the Hunter. He's saying beg and maybe we let some live, yes? Spider-Punk is saying, so when some Nazi punks roll up to my hood and start shooting up the place, I gotta remind them, as Craven's telling the people to run. He says, I'm Hobie Brown, and you can see where one of the henchmen gets hit by a shield. As Spider-Punk is saying, Craven, you caught us at a great time. Captain Anarchy, do you happen to know what time that is? And he says, right now, I'd say it's time to, and then they say it together, kick out the jams, motherfucker. There's gonna be a lot of this going on where it's like they want to sell this whole thing of, hey, we know punk music. So they reference the song by MC5, Kick Out the Jams, obviously. And that's the way that the song began, Kick Out the Jams, motherfucker. And yeah, that's a very popular song that a lot of punk and even a few like of the early metal bands tried to emulate the sound, the aggression, the speed, the fury within that particular song. So we have that in there. So yeah, he says he is the Spider Punk. And one thing you will notice here, he's wearing yellow Converse, whereas on the cover and even in this figure I have, he's wearing red. But whatever, right? I prefer it when he has boots. I even drew that one time. The book is not in here, but maybe I'll take a picture of it. I was drawing like years ago. I'm talking like 2015 when I was working as a bartender. I even like started just drawing because I liked, like I said, I liked the character that much that I just found a picture of him like on Google and I just started like doing my whole copy and paste thing. Anyway, the other one is Captain Anarchy. The Sentinel of Cowlitz Nation. Yeah. Just go ahead and look at how he's got duct tape on his costume and on his arms. Come on. So he's telling them that they're a long way from home and he calls them a fascist. And he says, "See how tough you talk with a boot in your mouth." And he says, I dealt with plenty of you bullies growing up on the res, so I just want you to know I'm really going to enjoy this as he hits him with the shield. And then Craven is saying, "The time of the Spider Punk is over. It's Craven and the Hunter's time to shine." But Spider Punk comes upon him with the guitar, saying that it's not going to be easy as he just, smacks the shit out of him with the guitar. And says, "So if you want to pack up your shit and leave, you won't get a better shot." So he says, "Speaking of," and then of course Spider Sense goes off. That's when he detects, or they both detect apparently, that there is a sniper. So he's telling him, "Yeah, I noticed that," or whatever. But Craven's telling him, "Your sound is old, antiquated. You should be washed away so new blood can give this place the shot in the arm it needs." But he tells him, "Don't know where you got all that fancy tech, but I'll say the same thing I said the last time we kicked your butt. Nazi punks can fuck off." And then of course he kicks him in the face. So I get where that dialogue was supposed to be coming off as, very badass. But nothing here is really selling to me that Craven is anything of a Nazi. Like, if you're just going to keep calling him a Nazi over and over again, maybe have him display some sort of Nazi tendencies. But nothing that he says here. Even one of the guys in their crew that, Captain Anarchy throws his shield at in this next part is brown skinned. So what are we doing here? I don't think a literal neo-Nazi would be having whatever. Then the shield hits the other one, and then he tells them, Tango's down. And then, they're all kind of just limping away as, one of the henchmen is saying, "Nothing but a bunch of street rats who got a lucky shot. We gotta go, boss," and he's just kind of out of it. And then Spider-Punk is even just saying, "Dope, we'll be waiting." So they just committed all of this damage and destruction and, threatened a whole bunch of people, but they're just like, "Yeah, go ahead. We'll let you limp away slowly as we stand here watching you." And then Spider-Punk holds up his guitar, just declaring victory and saying it wasn't so bad, all things considered, as there's, fire and broken shit all around them. And Anarchy even says, "Easy to say when I'm the one doing most of the fighting." But he's like, "I hit that dude with the guitar twice." And then Captain Anarchy says, "True. Guess I'm just thinking about the long of it." He notices the gun that they left behind on the ground. He says, "Craven and Hunters could barely afford to keep strings on their guitars, and now they're rolling up with this stuff." So even Anarchy has to say, "That's pretty hardcore gear. Way too much for that lot." And he says, "After careful inspection, I've determined I have no idea what the heck I'm looking at." Anarchy says, "Figured. It's good to have these things off the street either way." And then Spider-Punk says, "We should take it, back to Reed, because it's just screaming, 'Let the genius figure this out.' Can you do me a favor, though?" And he's asking, "All right, what?" He says, "If anyone back at Spider Base asks, I 100% didn't almost get shot by a laser gun." And he just tells him, "Yeah, nobody calls, the place that, but I'll see what I can do." They get back to Brooklyn Community Center, aka Spider Base, as we get this other funny little joke saying, "It's gonna catch on." So they come back inside, and we have these two standing here to greet them. He says, "Serious piece of hardware you got there, Hobie. That the same one that almost fried you?" He says, "No idea about that second part, but in full agreement about the guns. Y'all seen Ree?" And they just says, "Yeah, she's in the back, in her shops." He says, "All right, great." And then he tells Robbie to stay green, but he says, "Hulk's not coming out anytime soon. Maybe next time, Spider-Punk." Anarchy says, "Hoping we can crack this quick. Don't think Craven was bluffing about a return." He says, "Yeah, they're chumps, but they've never been ones to not make good on a threat. Just want to know why they're sticking their noses in our hood." And he says, "Well, whatever the answer is, I know we're going to hate it." They keep going. He says, "But that sounds exactly like the kind of problem I know you'd love to figure out on your own, Mr. Hero of the Multiverse." And he just tells him, like, "I told you I had help from a bunch of other spider folks." And then this other person says, "Don't mind Carl, Hobie. Roasting those close to him is how he shows his love." I know a few people like that. Nothing wrong with it, quite honestly. But then he says, "I have other ways." And then she says, "Oh." So as Hobie walks away to take this cannon to, if you haven't guessed, yes, it's Riri Williams. So he leaves them there to kind of like make out and shit. As he's telling, Rick, "I know deep inside that extra strong heart is a Hobie shaped hole." And then a voice from inside says, "You know where else there's going to be a Hobie shaped hole? The wall I blast you through if you sneak off with one of my amps again without asking." So he just tells her, "Chill out. I come bearing gifts." And then he shows her what the gift is, but she says, "This doesn't look like a gift. It looks like work." He says, "Well, it's the gift of knowledge." And she's like, "Whatever, put it on the table." She starts looking at it saying, "You said you got this off of Craven?" He says, "Yeah, one of his hunters. Blast damn near took my head off. Any idea where they got it?" She says, "Military for sure. A well-funded one at that. Energy readings are off the chart." So he's like, "Word?" She says, "Word. Batteries in this thing could power a city block for a month. No way in hell those losers just came across these in the wild." He's asking her, "What do you mean?" And she says, "Look, I've seen this type of weapons infrastructure before in the old War Machine fleet Osborn could never get off the ground until apparently she stole the schematics and was able to make one work. Of course." He says, "What are you saying? Craven's with Osborn?" She says, "I don't think it's that clean because it doesn't really fit Craven's MO." He just says, "Yeah, well, he's a street punk with delusions of grandeur. No way he's smart enough for that." She says, "Plus, Osborn's dead thanks to you. Now, Craven's probably just, following some other person's orders." He says, "Maybe, but like, why? All he did was air the block out and scare a few folks." She says, "Dude, I'm the kind of genius that knows how to fix stuff, not why weird Russians do the weird things they do." As people come running and saying, guys, Craven and a whole lot of dudes are raising all kinds of hell. Hobie is saying, like, really? That was pretty quick, even for them. Did they follow us? But Anarchy's saying, don't know, but he's got backup, y'all. I've had Robbie start evac, so we're down a man. We could really use your help. And she's saying, I'd love to give it. I have some things to ask Craven personally. So they get ready to go ahead and roll out to stop Craven yet again. And then we go over to Craven, who's saying Craven will burn away every single inch of this trash dump. There is no place you can run, no sewer you can hide where Craven will not find you. And then we see again where they're raising all kinds of hell. Again, they have even more secret developed weapons, I suppose. So the people are yelling, saying, "Spread out and make them scream a bit." And then they're saying that it's a fucking riot. Craven saying, "Watch, trash. Let us show you what an opening looks like." And then he throws just a dagger at something, but I guess it was explosive because it causes this gigantic explosion. Anyway, they start walking through the fire saying, "Fear not, dirty street trash, for you are about to be blessed by Craven and the Hunters," as he leaps to attack all of these other like running away punks. So he lands on this old man saying, "I have a message for Spider-Punk. You will deliver this message to him, yes?" So he's just like, "Yeah, sure, just don't hurt me." He says, "I want to trust you, but your old age gives me pause, old man. Perhaps it is best the message is written in the wrinkles on your forehead." And then we see a voice come from our panel saying, "Everybody but Craven, get down," as he gets blasted from behind. Spider-Punk is standing there saying, "Damn, I guess I said that too late. Anyway, me and my spider band are here to kick your butt again." So Riri's just like, Spider Band. And that's when Anarchy says, "Think I liked you more before you started leaning into the Spider Punk thing." So we can see where Riri has her whole, like, costume also with, spikes and shit all over it. So she says, "Guess you're going to have to workshop the name with these guys. Guys, how do you feel about the name?" But they don't really get to answer because she just blasts the shit out of them. Anarchy says, "Not sure why you thought this would go differently, the second time. Because, yeah, they just stopped them, like, maybe at most an hour ago." Anyway, Spider-Punk says, "Thought I was doing you a favor by letting you go the first time. Why'd you have to go and bite the hand that feeds?" But he says, "Craven bites nothing. Craven only takes. And once you and this trash are gone, he will have what is promised." So Hobie just says, "Oh, for real?" And then Riri saying, "He's totally going to tell you his plan. Just keep him talking." So he says, "Yeah, that's easy for you to say because you're wearing armor." And then he webs him up saying, he says, "Fuck this. Eyes up, Craven. How's about you and me go for a little ride?" So he just kind of throws him through a wall and shit. And then Craven says, "Pathetic. You're all trash and you'll always be trash. Face me, Spider-Punk, for one last caress." And here we have again. When I read that, I was like, "Last Caress. Why does that remind me?" Oh, right. There's a Misfits song called Last Caress, which, if you didn't know, was also covered by Metallica. So you have two different great bands to listen to for that particular song. Anyway, we now go back over to Captain Anarchy and Riri, who Anarchy saying, "This was a lot easier when there were only two of them." She says, "I'm not trying to be out here fighting weird Russian drummers and mercenaries all night. That shield of yours still indestructible?" And he says, "Well, yeah, why?" And she says, "All right, great, stick it up." And then, of course, she shoots at it to basically just take everybody out at once. She tells him, "Told you to trust." And she says, "You almost fried me. I love it. You're fucking hardcore, girl." Back over to Spider-Punk, who's still fighting with Craven, saying, "What's the angle? You really rolled up in here with your D-list band of sad sacks thinking you wouldn't lose?" But Craven says it's not about loss, but what is to be gained, as he kind of gets the upper hand for a second because he punches him in the face. He tells him, "What I am to gain. I would have hunted you and your freaks down for free. So when someone came saying they would pay, I had no choice but to agree. Spider-Punk tells him, so the Great Craven and the Hunters sold out? Should have known. But he says it's not selling out if you get what you want. But he tells him, bro, that's kind of the exact definition. And yeah, I guess that's fair enough. So he webs him to the wall saying, but I know it runs deeper than that, and I want you to tell me. And he says, so we're going to put a certain cranky Russian in timeout until he learns to use his words, da. And Craven doesn't really seem all that bothered by it because he even kind of has a little bit of a smile on his face. And then the other two come walking up as Riri says, kind of wild how quickly you lose the will to fight after getting blasted with a repulsor. And Anarchy says, got all the stragglers out safe too. We're 2 for 2 tonight. So he just says, hell yeah, Spider Band. Well, it's time for you to take the main stage, Craven. Riri walks up and says, talk, but he just kind of spits on the ground right in front of her. And then she says, that's going to be the first and last time you spit at me, white boy. Okay, let's take a pause for a second and just kind of notice something. They've been calling him Nazi multiple times in here, yet he has people of color in his gang or whatever it is. And the first person who actually brings up skin color is her to call him white boy. Just an observation. Take of that what you will. Going back to it, Craven says, I can tell you only what I know. Craven was offered an exchange of services. So Spider-Punk just, yeah, well, of course. But for what and from who? He says, I do not know who. I worked through an intermediate who relayed information. They said we were to run wild in the streets, raise as much hell as we want, destroy what we want, make it a living hell that no sane person would want to live in, scare the trash away so that the place could be rebuilt again, repurposed. Yeah, I know. I know. I'm pretty sure y'all already know what's about to be said. Just from that description, you're probably already saying at the screen, "Oh, they're talking about gentrification." Yes, that's exactly it because Riri says they have a word for that, bruh. And then Spider-Punk says, "Yeah, gentrification." So apparently not only is Craven the worst Nazi around, he's also guilty of trying to assist in gentrification, which as we all know is a dirty word in today's society. And then he goes on saying, I care not for the name, only that the promise is fulfilled. In exchange for this task, I was to be given what was needed to face you, Spider-Punk. But Anarchy says, you attacked our community center so you could get your butt kicked twice in the same day? Got it. And then Riri says, just tell us who's backing you and maybe we'll let you off easy. Well, easier. But Anarchy says, would be a real shame to turn this whooping into a hat trick, Craven. And he says, Craven will always welcome a fight. And then Spider-Punk says, the thing about that, Craven, is that if you're going to face the Spider-Band, you should have brought even more men. He says, tell me, Spider, why would I bring more men when all I really need is one? And then we see where there's this smoke bomb that's just thrown on the ground. So, of course, they all take notice of it. Riri tries to put up her shields, and then, of course, the smoke bomb goes off, and they're saying, they can't see. As we see each of them being attacked, first is Anarchy, then Riri is attacked by a very familiar-looking shield, and then the last one, of course, is Spider-Punk. So he's laying there saying, what the hell? And then a voice from off panel says, do me a favor, wills ya? If you're going to scream, scream with me. And then we have... Oh my god. And then we have Taskmaster coming in looking like Doyle from the Misfits with his hair. And then on the shield is a dollar sign. So can you guess? Because it even says next will be Taskmaster, and both of the S's are dollar signs. So obviously he's some sort of walking representation of capitalism. Like I said, I already figured that something was going to be off from this just when I saw who was writing it, and when I saw some of the art, I was like, I get the feeling I'm probably not going to like this story very much. But even I could not have possibly realized or fathomed just how much I was not going to like this story, and it's a lot. So this is going to be one of those times that I don't think I will be going past the first issue. There's no real reason for me to do so. I have no desire to do so because this seems to be all about just making allegories to all kinds of stuff that, I guess the writer does not like. And if you want to do that, that's fine, but you're definitely not going to have me reading or even talking about your book beyond this one, because I already see the writing on the wall. I mean, you wrote it about as big as you possibly could in very easy to understand language. So why would I bother going on pretending like I don't know what's going to happen next? No, I know where this is going. I'm not even going to pretend like there are any surprises to be had here. I know where this is going. and I have no real desire to keep going with it. But I think that's about all that I can say about this particular issue of this particular book. So I don't know if anybody out there picked this up and read it. If you had any thoughts about reading it, if so, go ahead and share them with me down below in the comment section. And if you enjoyed the video, make sure to like the video, make sure that you are subscribed, that you have the notification bell on. And if you'd like to share the video, go ahead and do it because I appreciate that more than I appreciate my time being wasted for having read this. But anyway, if you're done here, then go and read a book. And if not, well, then I'll see you on my next video.